Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Once again, I don't feel the need to give you a summary because the title is very straightforward. This one's from user Cheaper Than Therapy 13. What advice can we, 35 male and female, give to our niece, 18 female, so she doesn't ruin her life? My sister-in-law, 36 female, was a teen mom, and her oldest daughter, Michelle, turned 18 last summer. My significant other, 35 male, and his siblings grew up in a household where once you were 18, you were considered grown, and if you didn't like how things were, you were welcome to get the F out and find somewhere else to live. On the other hand, I grew up in a home that recognized that having a family that loves, helps, and supports you doesn't stop at 18. My sister-in-law is going through a really rough time right now. She's separating from her partner, not Michelle's bio dad, re-entering the workforce after over a decade, and taking care of all three of her kids, ranging from 3 to 18. My sister-in-law is doing her best, and while their living situation isn't currently abusive, it is chaotic, tumultuous, and my sister-in-law has been leaning heavily on Michelle for childcare, etc. It's understandable why Michelle feels her living situation sucks. Michelle has been on an individual educational plan since elementary school, and my sister-in-law was never able to get her the resources for Michelle to succeed academically. From what I understand, she's basically going to graduate with a participation diploma, which has lower academic requirements than the diploma other students get. She's only passed one of dozens of state-mandated tests she's been given, but what I'm told is that she can graduate despite this because of the individualized educational plan. College is not in the cards, although I think that she could do community college or technical school in the future. I think it's critical that Michelle finish and get the damn diploma. Her employment options will be so limited if she drops out, and she hates school and reading so much that if she quits now, it's highly unlikely that she'll ever bother to go back for a GED later in life. She is a hard worker though, and has been working since she's 16. I am not concerned with her getting and keeping a job, but we live in a high cost of living area and it's impossible for her to live on her own making minimum wage. While she is in school, Michelle was not being asked to pay rent, only her cell phone bill. However, if they combined their resources, my sister-in-law and Michelle could afford rent on a safe, clean, 3-bedroom apartment, but separately, they'd need public assistance to afford anything. Michelle wanted to join the military after graduation, but scored so low on the aptitude tests that it's not an option either. Fast forward to this week. We find out that she moved in with this 24-year-old guy who lives over an hour from her high school. My sister-in-law said that the new boyfriend has promised that he'll make sure she gets to school, but Michelle doesn't drive and there's not public transportation between the two areas. So her completing her education is contingent on someone who is willing to shack up with a high schooler 6 years younger than himself. I'm also assuming that Michelle has quit her after-school job that was near her mom's house, but I'm not positive. The last 3 to 4 years has involved a cavalcade of crappy, abusive, and manipulative boyfriends Michelle has met through sketchy friends and online, a couple of which I'm pretty sure are gang affiliated. MS-13 has a visible presence both at her high school and the town she's now living in. At one point, her mom got her on a birth control implant, but Michelle decided she didn't want any artificial chemicals in her body and had it removed. She is currently on the pill, but who knows if she's taking it properly. My money is on no. Michelle has never had any good modeling on how to have a healthy relationship. Her mom has made terrible romantic decisions since she was a teenager, as did her grandmother before her. Frankly, I'm terrified that she's going to end up pregnant and totally dependent on some loser before the year is out. My significant other, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law are basically treating the situation like, well, she's 18 and can make her own decisions. But I think that's a BS position to take. I know that the ship may have sailed at this point, but I think it's critical for her family to fight for Michelle and get her to come home and at least finish school before she strikes out on her own. My significant other and I are the most stable and successful people in his family. And by that I mean we went to college, didn't have kids before we turned 20, and we don't live paycheck to paycheck. Nothing crazy. We're not Michelle's favorite aunt and uncle, but we have a good relationship and have exposed her to the world as well as we can ever since she was little. So Reddit, what should we do? I'm horrified that my in-laws are all generally willing to wash their hands off Michelle when she is clearly lost and latching onto the first person who will give her affection and support. I've been pushing my significant other to try to talk to her and at least finish school and not have a baby before she's got her life together. Should we try to rally favorite uncle 28 male and second mom aunt 31 female before trying to intervene? Second mom aunt is disgusted with the whole situation and directing her anger at her sister, Michelle's mom. Favorite uncle generally steers clear of the family when there's a lot of drama, but he loves his niece and will absolutely help her out in an emergency. Michelle's bio dad is around, but I don't have high expectations for his ability to be emotionally available in this situation. Is this a case of it being too late and now my niece Michelle will lie in the bed she's made? Will any advice or threats we make now fall on deaf ears? I'm effing terrified because literally no one in our family is in a position to raise a baby for her, and they're religious enough that if she gets pregnant, she wouldn't consider a termination. Is there anything we can do at this point to prevent Michelle from going down that path? OP is definitely in a very difficult situation because it's like she's seeing a train wreck about to happen, but she can't do anything about it. What do you guys think she should do? She can't just go and take her away from where she's living because she's an adult. She can't force her to go to school or anything like that. So what can she do? Well, we're going to move on to the community comments now, and we're just going to read the number one community comment because that's the one that influenced OP the most. So let's continue with that. Rodeo Bob says, okay, let's break this down. What we can say or do to get her to think about her future. Or is it too late? 1. She's 18, which means legal adult. You cannot force her to do anything. You can't say or do anything to control her. And if you try to control her, she's going to see those efforts for what they are. And with an 18-year-old, that can blow up pretty badly. So any plans of we'll pay your rent, car, loan, tuition if you follow our rules is not a great plan at this point. 2. If this kid gets even a whiff of the judgmental, well, it's too late to help you vibe from the two of you, they'll never ask for your help, even if they need it, because of shame. So let's get one thing clear right now. It's never too late to make things better. The thing is, those two items put you in a box. You can't fight for her, because who do you imagine you're fighting against? And you can't give up on her or she won't come to you for help later. So what do? She is clearly lost and latching onto the first person who will give her affection and support. Now, that suggests some things, doesn't it? You can't be the first person to offer affection and support, but you can offer support and affection just by being available to her. Maybe you meet for a meal every 2 weeks. Maybe you call her at the same time every week and talk. Not interrogate, not judge, not offer advice or threaten, just talk. She's got plenty of people who will offer her unsolicited advice and lots of people who will judge her choices harshly. So you offering that is what she doesn't need. There's no guarantee that she will ask you for help or even advice. But if you want her to listen, you have to wait for her to ask. You can't offer it. This kid has been on an individualized educational plan for years, isn't smart enough for the military, and knows they have limited options. But they also want to become an adult, and that means feeling like they are able to make choices, even bad ones, and that they are free to fail on their own terms. That idea, the dignity of failure, is a big thing for someone who has spent years watching things be made easier and exceptions be made for them, so that they won't fail just because they're not smart. You want to play at this, you've got to play the long game. That means no charging in and swooping her up and paying for things to make her follow the path that you think she should follow. It means listening to her without judging, letting her F up however she's gonna F up, and loving her anyway, until she's in a place where she's choosing to ask for advice or help. It's a tough road, and I wouldn't blame you for bailing out on it, but that's the path. OP responds, "Crap, man, thank you. I needed it framed that way. It's the threading the needle between being permissive and saying, I love you, but I'm worried about you, is tough." My significant other and his siblings all responded exactly as described to the whiff of "too late as teenagers," and I don't think I fully understand that perspective. I've never experienced it. My family just isn't like that, with mixed results for what it's worth. My significant other sent her a text telling her to call us if she needs anything, but she hasn't responded. If or when she gets in touch, I think I'll suggest taking her out for lunch or something. I'd feel a lot better if we knew more about her living situation. The possibilities are terrifying. Well, in my opinion, Rodeo Bob did give OP a very good piece of advice. They laid down everything on the table, analyzed the different possible outcomes, and narrowed the possibilities down to one. So now we're gonna move on to the update to see what OP ended up doing. Well guys, she did it. Michelle moved out and claims to have married her boyfriend. However, we're 99% sure they're not actually married, but they think they are. See, Michelle doesn't know that you don't get married when you go get the marriage license at the county clerk's office. You're married once the officiant fills out the damned paperwork and sends it back. So far, the last part hasn't happened yet. She says she still wants to have a real wedding at her grandma's church, but doesn't understand that she has to go through at least 6 months of counseling and religious stuff first. It's a Catholic church and she never got First Communion, so she'd have to do that and confirmation first. Plus, the priest won't marry them if they're cohabiting, which they are. Add in the prom-like all-purple decor she wants but can't afford. Everyone but Michelle knows that she's not gonna get her dream wedding anytime soon. We took the advice of the kind people from my previous post. User Rodeo Bob in particular really got through to my SO. My husband took Michelle and her significant other out to lunch, and the silver lining is that the guy doesn't seem like a bad person. My husband said he was basically Jason Mendoza from The Good Place, so at least that's a relief. He and Michelle have been texting back and forth. It's been cordial except for when she asked us to build or pay for an elaborate altar decoration trellis thing for her wedding. And he replied that he'd consider it once she finished high school and not a minute before then. She ghosted him for about a month, but has recently been in touch. At least she still considers us an open line of communication. Beyond that, it's not great. With school being closed, we don't know if she's keeping up with her coursework. I don't know how she could because I don't think she has a computer. And since they both work in the food industry, Michelle and her significant other aren't working right now. On the advice of his uncle, my husband will offer to help her apply for unemployment. I hope she wasn't being paid under the table at her last job, but I have a suspicion that she was. My sister-in-law, Michelle's mom's situation has also deteriorated. So in some ways it's better for her and the other kids that Michelle is on her own, but it's just garbage fires all around. Well, OP knew that this wasn't going to be easy, and Rodeo Bob did tell her that it was a long game she was playing. Hopefully they'll stick with it and keep trying to support Michelle. At the same time, hopefully Michelle will understand that they're trying to help her and put effort into it. OP said she was a hard worker. Well, that's what she needs to do now. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section. And this is the end of the video, so if you liked it, just click like. Don't forget that the goal for this year is 100,000 subscribers, so please don't forget to subscribe. Additionally, you can always join my Discord server to chat with other people in the community or go to my subreddit to share your stories. And having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.